Birthdays aren't supposed to feel surreal, but mine did because halfway through the cheap beer and bad jokes, someone walked in who looked like they just stepped off a red carpet. I never thought hitting send on a stupid DM would actually change my life. You know those late night scrolling sessions where your brain's fried and you're just messing around online? That's exactly how it started. I just gotten off a crappy shift at work, exhausted, sitting on the couch with a cheap beer in hand, and for no reason at all, I opened Instagram and typed out a message I wasn't supposed to type. It wasn't to a friend. It wasn't even to some random girl from Tinder. It was to a Hollywood actress. Yeah, her. Now, before you roll your eyes, let me be clear, didn't send some creepy paragraph or a long essay about how much I loved her movies. I literally typed, "Hey, my birthday's coming up. Wanna crash it? Free pizza and cheap beer." That was it. No emojis, no explanations, just a joke to myself, something I'd probably laugh at in the morning when I realized how dumb it was. I hit send, threw my phone aside, and passed out. The next morning, I checked my DMs expecting the usual flood of spam and ignored messages. But at the very top, there was a blue check mark. She'd seen it. My heart stopped. I thought maybe it was a glitch or some bot pretending to be her. But when I tapped it open, there it was. Just 3 words. "Where's the party?" I swear to God, I nearly dropped my phone. I read it 10 times, thinking maybe I was hallucinating. I hadn't even had coffee yet. And then I did the dumbest thing imaginable. I typed my actual address. "You're welcome anytime," and then, nothing. For days, I convinced myself she was messing with me. Or maybe one of her assistants was bored and typed that out. There was no way in hell someone like her would actually show up to some random dude's 20-something birthday in a beat-up apartment 2 hours outside of Los Angeles. But here's the thing, sometimes life doesn't follow the rules. Sometimes life decides to prank you. Fast forward a week, it's my birthday. I'd invited the usual crew coworkers from the bar, a couple friends from high school who still stuck around, my cousin who always drinks too much. The apartment was already buzzing with cheap speakers blasting, people arguing over what toppings should have been on the pizza, and the smell of burnt garlic bread filling the air. I was in my element. Just another regular birthday. Nothing fancy, nothing out of the ordinary. Until the knock. It wasn't the usual loud, drunk banging from one of my friends. It was soft, almost careful, like whoever was outside didn't want to disturb anyone. I pushed through the crowd, laughing, thinking maybe it was one of the neighbors ready to complain about the noise. When I opened the door, the entire world froze. Standing there, in jeans, a hoodie, and sunglasses indoors, at night, was someone I recognized instantly. My brain refused to process it. It felt like a scene ripped out of a movie, except it was happening at my shitty apartment with peeling paint on the doorframe. Her. My friends behind me didn't react at first. They thought it was a joke. Maybe someone I'd hired to prank them. But when she pulled her glasses down just enough to reveal those unmistakable eyes.
Now imagine what happens next. But before that, smash that like button and hit subscribe, cause the craziest part is just getting started.
The room went dead silent. I don't even remember what I said. Probably something dumb like, "No way." But she just smiled, held up a 6-pack of beer, and said, "So, did I miss the cake?" The room exploded. Half my friends screamed. The other half just stood there frozen. My cousin dropped his drink on the carpet. And me? I was standing in the doorway like a statue, realizing that the message I'd sent in the middle of the night as a joke had actually worked. The rest of the night was a blur. I can't even explain how surreal it felt to watch her, a Hollywood star, someone I'd only ever seen on posters and movie screens, sitting on my thrift store couch with a paper plate full of cheap pizza, laughing at my best friend's terrible jokes. Everyone kept sneaking photos, whispering, trying not to make it obvious. And she just blended in, like she belonged there, like my apartment was just another stop on her calendar. But deep down, I knew this wasn't normal. Celebrities don't just show up at random birthdays. Something about it felt off, like I'd accidentally triggered a glitch in the universe, and sooner or later, reality was going to snap back. And let me tell you, reality snapped back harder than I could have ever imagined. At first, everyone treated her like glass, You could feel the tension in the air. My living room had turned into some weird reality show where no one knew the rules. People whispered, tried to act cool, but failed miserably. My buddy Jason, usually the loudest guy in the room, suddenly spoke like he was giving a TED talk. My cousin, who never shuts up, just sat in the corner staring at his shoes. It was like we'd all forgotten how to be human. And then she laughed. Not some polite Hollywood laugh, but a real one, loud, unfiltered. The kind that makes you forget you're nervous. Suddenly, the whole vibe shifted. People relaxed. Drinks flowed again. Music came back on. And before I knew it, we weren't a bunch of awkward nobodies hosting a celebrity. We were just a group of people hanging out. And she happened to be one of them. Still, it didn't feel real. Every time I glanced over and saw her sitting there eating greasy pizza off a paper plate, sipping beer straight from the can, I felt my brain glitch. Like, this shouldn't be happening. My birthday was supposed to be nothing special. And now, my Instagram story looked like a damn fan fiction. Around midnight, most people had loosened up. She was in the center of it all, telling stories, laughing at dumb jokes, even beating my roommate at beer pong. That's when the weirdness really kicked in. See, celebrities are supposed to float through life like they're untouchable. But the more she talked, the more I realized she wasn't acting like a guest. She was acting like she belonged. Too much. She asked me about my job, my family, exe stuff no stranger would usually care about. Her questions were sharp, specific, like she already knew parts of my life and just wanted confirmation. At one point, she looked around my messy living room, then right at me, and said, "It feels like I've been here before." Chills. Straight chills down my spine. People started leaving in waves, sobering up enough to realize they had work the next morning. But she didn't leave. She stayed. Even as the crowd thinned, even as the pizza boxes emptied and the music got quieter, she stayed planted on that couch, legs crossed, like she was waiting for something. Jason whispered to me in the kitchen, "Dude, why is she still here?" I had no answer. My head was spinning. Part of me was thrilled. The other part was screaming that this was way past normal. When you invite a celebrity as a joke, they're supposed to show up, take a few selfies, maybe eat a slice of pizza and bounce. Not linger until 2 in the morning like your new best friend. Finally, I worked up the courage to ask, You don't have somewhere to be?" She tilted her head, smiled faintly, and said, "What if I like it here?" That smile didn't feel like the one she gave on magazine covers. It was quieter, stranger, almost secretive. My stomach flipped. The weirdest part, she knew everyone's names. People I hadn't even introduced her to. When my cousin's girlfriend walked back in from the bathroom, she greeted her by name like they were old friends. I tried to brush it off. Maybe she overheard earlier. Maybe she was just good at remembering, but deep down, I knew something was off. Then came the story. We were sitting around, the last of the group, half drunk and half exhausted. Someone asked her why she'd even come to my birthday in the first place. Everyone leaned in, waiting for some joke about spontaneity or needing a night off. Instead, she looked right at me and said, "Because people like you don't ask." Silence. The kind that hums in your ears. "People like me?" I asked. "You're not supposed to know me," she said softly. "But you do. You've always known me." Everyone laughed nervously, thinking she was being poetic or weirdly deep. But her eyes never left mine, and I swear to God, I couldn't breathe. By 3 a.m., it was just me and her. My friends had all tapped out, muttering excuses about work or just too freaked out to stick around. I should have ended the night, told her thanks, called her an Uber, something. But I couldn't. I was frozen. She leaned back on the couch, staring at the ceiling, and whispered, "It's funny how one night can change everything." I asked what she meant, but she didn't answer, just closed her eyes, as if she already knew what was coming next. And here's the kicker. That's when I noticed her phone on the coffee table. Not my phone. Not anyone else's. Hers. And the lock screen? It wasn't some glamorous photo shoot or movie poster. It was a picture of my apartment, taken from outside. Before she even stepped inside, I just sat there, staring at her phone like it was a bomb. My brain tried to rationalize it. Maybe someone else had taken that picture. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Maybe. But no, it was my apartment. Same crooked blinds. Same ugly green couch. Same plant dying in the corner. The shot was taken from outside my window. My pulse went haywire. I grabbed a beer I didn't even want, just to keep my hands from shaking. She must have noticed, because she opened her eyes, saw where I was looking, and smiled. That same unsettling smile. The one that wasn't for the cameras. "You weren't supposed to see that," she said softly. "What the hell does that mean?" My voice cracked like I was a teenager again. "It means," she said, leaning forward, elbows on her knees, "that things aren't always random. Sometimes, they're chosen." Her tone was calm, but the words landed like a punch. I tried to laugh it off, pretend I wasn't on the verge of panicking. "So what? You're telling me you, what, stalked me?" She didn't flinch, didn't deny it, just sipped from her beer like we were talking about the weather. Jason had once told me that when someone avoids an answer, that's your answer. And right then, silence was the loudest answer I ever heard. Finally, she tilted her head, her hair falling into her face. "Let's just say I like ordinary people. It's refreshing. Ordinary people?" Jesus. I felt like a lab rat. The night stretched on in slow motion. I kept glancing at the door, weighing if I should just kick her out. But how the hell do you tell a Hollywood star to leave without sounding insane? And more importantly, what if she didn't want to leave? That's when she asked, "Don't you wonder why it's you? Why tonight?" And I swear, my blood ran cold. Because yeah, I had wondered all night, and I didn't have an answer. I mumbled something about being lucky, about her just being spontaneous. She laughed, shaking her head. "You really believe that?" I wanted to. God, I wanted to. By 4 a.m., the apartment was dead silent. Streetlights glowed through the blinds. My friends were long gone, and it was just me and her locked in some unspoken standoff. She leaned closer, close enough for me to smell the faint trace of her perfume. "This isn't the first time," she whispered. "The first time for what?" I asked. She didn't answer, she just smiled. That smile again. I thought about grabbing her phone, about demanding answers, but something in me froze. Like if I pushed too hard, I'd open a door I wasn't supposed to. Instead, I asked the dumbest question imaginable. "So, what happens now?" Her eyes lit up, like she'd been waiting for me to ask. "That depends on you," she said. "But trust me, you'll remember this night forever." And then she stood, stretched like she'd just woken from a nap, and walked to the door. No rush, no hesitation, just calm, like leaving was part of the plan all along. She paused at the doorframe, looked back over her shoulder, and said, "Happy birthday." Then she was gone. I didn't sleep, not a second. I sat there until the sun came up, staring at that empty couch like it still had answers. When I finally grabbed her phone to check again, it was gone. Not just the picture, the whole phone, like it had never been there in the first place. The second the door clicked shut, my apartment felt wrong. Too quiet, too heavy, like the air itself remembered what had just happened. I sat there frozen, staring at the spot where she'd been, half expecting her to reappear. When nothing happened, I let out a shaky laugh. The kind you give when you're trying to convince yourself you're not losing your mind. But deep down, I knew. Whatever this was, it wasn't over. By the time the sun was fully up, I was still on the couch, staring at my phone. My messages were blowing up. "Bro, I still can't believe you pulled that off. Dude, she was actually in your apartment. How?" I typed and deleted replies over and over. How could I explain the lock screen photo? The way she'd talked, like she'd been watching me? The way she said this isn't the first time? I finally settled on a dumb, safe answer. Crazy night. I'll explain later. That day, nothing felt real. I walked into the corner store for a coffee, and the cashier, who barely ever looked up at me, said, "Saw your birthday pics online, man. That's wild. Congrats." I froze. "Pics?" I asked. He shrugged. "Yeah, someone posted a shot of her in your place. It's going around." My stomach dropped. I pulled out my phone, checked Instagram, Twitter, Reddit. Nothing. No trace. Not a single photo. But the way he said it casual, like it was just another viral post, made me want to throw up. That night, I dreamt about her phone, that glowing lock screen, my window, that crooked shot from the outside. When I woke up, drenched in sweat, I went straight to the blinds and yanked them closed so hard, I almost ripped them off the wall. A week passed. My friends wouldn't stop bringing it up. Man, you've peaked. Nothing's ever gonna top that. Tell us the story again. What was she like? And every time, I gave the same watered-down version. She showed up. We hung out. It was crazy. End of story. But the truth kept gnawing at me. I started noticing weird things. A car parked across the street, engine running, no one getting out. The same guy walking past my building at the same time every night. A voicemail with nothing but silence, like someone just listening. Paranoia. Maybe, but maybe not. Then came the package. Plain brown box. No return address. Sitting outside my door like it had been dropped off just for me. Inside, a single Polaroid. Her, sitting on my couch. The same couch. Smiling that same smile. Except this time, she was holding a piece of paper with the date written on it, today's date. I dropped it like it was on fire. My hands were shaking so badly I almost fell over. I called Jason. Bro, I think I'm losing it. What now? He laughed. I explained everything. The photo, the package, the car outside. He was quiet for a long time before saying, look, man, maybe it's all just part of the story. Maybe she wanted to mess with you. Keep it mysterious. I wanted to believe that. God, I wanted to. But why did it feel like more than a stunt? Why did it feel like I'd been marked? That night, I didn't sleep again. Every creak in the hallway, every flicker of headlights outside sent me spiraling. And somewhere, in the back of my mind, her words echoed like a curse. This isn't the first time. If it wasn't the first, then what else had I missed? By the fifth night, I was running on caffeine and paranoia. My blinds were always drawn, my lights dim, like I was hiding in my own damn apartment. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face smiling like she knew something I didn't. And then came the knock. 3 sharp raps on the door. Not the kind a friend makes. The kind that says, we know you're in there. My heart jumped into my throat. I froze. Whoever it was didn't knock again. Just waited. Finally, I crept to the peephole. Empty hallway. That should have been a relief. But it wasn't. Because taped to my door was another Polaroid. This time, wasn't her. It was me. Sleeping. My hands went cold. My knees almost buckled. I tore the photo down and slammed the door shut, locking every bolt I had. But no lock was going to save me if someone had already been inside. I tried calling Jason again. He didn't pick up. I called Sarah, straight to voicemail. My friends, the ones who'd been so hyped about this once-in-a-lifetime story, suddenly weren't around anymore. Like the whole thing was mine alone to deal with. And maybe it was. That night, I didn't even try to sleep. I sat on the couch with a baseball bat, staring at the door, waiting for it to open. Hours crawled by. Nothing happened. Until my phone buzzed. New message. Unknown number. It was the Polaroid I'd just torn off my door, attached with 2 words. Nice dreams. I swear my soul left my body. I wanted to run, pack a bag, leave the city, disappear. But where do you go when the thing haunting you knows where you sleep? When it knows the color of your blinds, the angle of your window, the exact second you close your eyes? You can't run from that. By dawn, I was half delirious. The street outside looked almost peaceful, golden light spilling over the buildings. For a second, I thought maybe, just maybe, I'd made it all up. Stress, sleep deprivation, the mind playing tricks. And then I saw her, standing across the street. Same hoodie, same impossible calm. Watching. Our eyes met. She smiled, raised her phone, snapped a picture, then she turned and walked away. I didn't chase her. I couldn't. My legs felt like cement, my chest like it was full of broken glass. Because deep down, I realized something I'd been trying not to admit. This wasn't random. She hadn't just shown up to my birthday. She hadn't just found me by accident. She'd been here before, watching, waiting, choosing, and for whatever reason, she'd chosen me. I'm telling you this now because I don't know how much longer I can keep it together. My phone buzzes every night. New photos, always of me, always closer. Last night's was the worst one yet. It was a photo of me sitting on this couch, writing this down. The morning after that last picture, I sat frozen on my couch, phone still in my hand. My own face stared back at me on the screen, my hair messy, eyes wide, bad across my lap. The timestamp was from 2 minutes before I'd received it, which meant whoever took it was still here. I searched the apartment, tearing through closets, under the bed, even the crawlspace above the bathroom. Nothing, not a trace. But the smell was different, faint, like cheap perfume. She'd been there. For the next few days, I tried to live normally, pretend, go to work, eat lunch with coworkers, laugh at stupid memes. But every reflection in a window made my stomach twist. Every flicker in the corner of my eye felt like her. At night, the Polaroids kept coming. Me brushing my teeth, me microwaving leftovers, me lying awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. It was like she was trying to prove a point. I don't need to touch you to own you. I stopped telling people. Jason ghosted me. Sarah blocked my number after I begged her to stay over. Nobody wanted in on this madness anymore. And maybe they were right. Because the truth, it wasn't about her anymore. It was about me. I'd let her in. I'd answered the door. I'd kept the photos instead of burning them. I'd let curiosity choke me until it became obsession. And now, even if she disappeared tomorrow, the damage was done. The last message I ever got was different. It wasn't a picture. It was a video, just a few seconds long. The camera moved slowly through my living room, past the couch, past the window, toward my bedroom door. It creaked open, and there I was lying in bed, asleep. The camera lingered on my face. Then, the whisper, "Happy birthday," and it cut to black. I don't know if I'll ever understand who she was or why she chose me. Stalker? Fan? Ghost? Some twisted joke? But I know one thing. Once someone like that steps into your life, you never get rid of them. Not really. Because now, every knock, every buzz of my phone, every shadow on the wall, think it's her. And maybe that's the point. She doesn't have to show up anymore. She already won.